So I know last time I promised I was going to be looking at Ninja Turtles 3, but after watching a good 20 minutes of it, eventually I started remembering that I already kind of talked about it in a video before. It was a movie marathon video talking about crappy sequels, and rest assured, the movie's still terrible, but for a while I thought about maybe doing a full review of it since I didn't talk about it for super long in that video, but after watching at least 20 minutes, I'm like, oh yeah, it's slowly coming back to me. I really didn't have much to say the first time around. So instead of wasting time talking about a crappy movie that everyone's already talked about well before I have, I decided I'd jump forward to another movie that, granted, a lot of people have talked about this one too, but I've never seen it in full and I've always wanted to. And, well, it's part of a reoccurring thing that we talk about on Blockbusters show, that being the crappy shark movie.
People pay a lot of money to come down here. They expect to use everything, including the beaches.
You cannot let people swim in the water when there's a shark out there! We've got a shark heading for the shore. Get everyone out of the water now!
When two researchers discover a colossal shark's tooth off the Mexican coast, their worst fears surface. The most menacing beast to ever rule the waters is still alive and mercilessly feeding on anything that crosses its path. 2.9 out of 10 on IMDb. How the fuck does this have a lower rating than Amityville in Space? This is so much better than that piece of shit. So this one might require a little bit of background. Avi Lerner is one of the producers of this film with his studio New Image. And Avi Lerner is one of the many refugees that came from the fallout of Cannon Films. Cannon Films obviously being one of the well-known bad movie studios of the 80s. But once that studio started to fall apart, eventually a lot of the people who worked on it kind of scattered off and did their own things. They made their own movies. It was around the late 90s, early 2000s is when New Image started doing their thing. They most notably put out a bunch of really crappy straight-to-video or like maybe limited release horror movies involving animals. They made movies about killer crocodiles and alligators and a whole different type of snakes and even killer octopus movies. And of course, they never strayed away from the classic formula of killer shark movies. The big three that everybody seems to remember from the early days of New Image are their masterclass trilogy known as Shark Attack. Now, even though Shark Attack 3 seems to be the most well-known of their movies, I gotta say, in preparation, I did try to watch the other two Shark Attack movies, and they're just as funny bad. All three of these movies are genuinely entertaining for how stupid and how shitty they are. It's one of those series where none of the sequels feel like they're direct continuations. Each new movie focuses on a different cast of characters. The first movie focuses on a scientist who's looking for a friend who went lost at sea. Of course, this is related to sharks that turn out to be experimented on by bioengineers who are working in part with a shady businessman played by Ernie Hudson, which I gotta say, right away I was like, I don't know if I buy Ernie Hudson as a bad guy. But you know what? Ernie Hudson is such a good actor, he actually kind of pulls it off.
And he used them to kill the tourist business.
Yes, literally. Simple economics. The more sharks, the less people. I got lucky twice. First, your crazy sharks ate all the fish and killed the fishing. Now that was beautiful. But when Hacker told me about your little thumpers, well, that was simply divine.
The second movie focuses on a group of young people who are working at an aquarium for some Cape Cod-style ocean town. And of course, there are shark attacks going on all over the beaches. They team up with the scientist guy. But the creme de la creme, the crown jewel of the trilogy, is its finale, its epic conclusion with Shark Attack 3, Megalodon. Now, while all three of these movies hit a lot of the same hallmarks that you expect from crappy shark movies, all of them clearly taking inspiration from Jaws, the second movie especially, and I didn't think any of them were going to copy Jaws nearly as much as that one, but this one comes close. There's a lot of Jaws inspiration in this. We of course get our opening kill scene where we see some marine biologists and they send some divers down into the depths of the ocean, and there's this one dude who right away lets us know there's going to be a lot of dubbing in this movie because, my God, there is so much ADR where people are just talking and their lips clearly aren't syncing properly. It's like watching a dub of an old Godzilla movie.
Say again.
30 yards. 20.
Get him out of there!
We get into the film proper as the setting takes place in Mexico, and we're at this super fancy resort, which is on the beach. They have a lovely pool area. There's a bunch of bikini babes running around, and some of them are topless. Gotta say, that genuinely surprised me. I didn't expect nudity in this movie. I mean, I knew there was gonna be, like, more adult stuff just based on the fact that it's a shark movie. I was expecting gore and language, but was not expecting nudity. That was like, completely eye-opening for me. And speaking of eye-opening, next scene, to show that there's something going on in the ocean, there's something dangerous out there. You see this old man on a boat trying to catch a marlin, and all the while there are these two young people behind him, and it looks like this lady is jerking this guy off.
Once I saw a marlin fight for 5 hours.
And I'm not just saying that to be funny or to be a smartass or whatever. No, that's what it genuinely looks like. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, I know this is the beginning of the movie, and at that time, I kind of figured these were going to be our main characters, but they're not. But I was just wondering, like, whoa, hold on. How did we get here? Holy shit. But eventually, the guy reels the marlin in, and the marlin is ripped in half.
30 years.
John Barrowman and his sidekick guy, Jimmy, they're supposed to be coastal patrolmen. They're supposed to be making sure that everything is safe in the waters. And, of course, one thing leads to another. John Barrowman, one afternoon, ends up jumping down, goes diving to try and get some lobsters so that they can have some lobster for dinner. Once he's down in the ocean, he notices a very suspicious-looking shark tooth in the middle of some kind of fiber optic technology, which comes into play. We eventually find out that the Megalodon, because it is a prehistoric shark, apparently the shark is attracted to some kind of electromagnetic frequency that's being put out by the thing, or whatever. I mean, there was an explanation. It was just a really stupid explanation. But John Barrowman finds this shark tooth, and he decides to look into the matter. So, using 2001, 2002 level technology, he takes a picture of it, posts it to some internet forum, which is very apparent that whoever made this movie wasn't too keen on web design, because it's one of those movies where they show a website and it looks like the most basic level web design you've ever seen. So he posts the picture of this shark tooth on this shark biology message board, and he asks like what kind of shark does this tooth belong to? And that's how we get the obligatory love interest. We have Cat Stone is her name. And they introduce her in a scene that was honestly reminding me a lot of an Uwe Boll film. It was reminding me a lot of Alone in the Dark for some reason. But she's talking to this security guard at this museum because, of course, she's an expert marine biologist, and later on she hops on the internet and she sees the picture of the tooth and she knows that it's connected to the Megalodon in some way.
Oh my God.
But that's a little bit later on. The first scene that we get with her is she's walking around this museum that she works at, and she's talking to this security guard who jump scares her. Like, she's wandering around, it's not too terribly dark, and yet this security guard with the flashlight points the flashlight at her face, and that makes her scream. More importantly, her talking to this security guard is one of the most unintentionally funny parts of the film, because the way this guy talks...
Bonnie's been waiting 65 million years. I think she can wait a half hour while you grab a sandwich.
Maybe I'm wrong, maybe this is one of the scenes that isn't dubbed, but the way the guy was talking, it really did feel like somebody dubbed that guy. Like, I'm like, is that how that guy actually talks, or is this just another weird example of dubbing in this movie? But after Miss Stone gets on the internet and she notices the picture of the Megalodon tooth, she jumps into action and tries to rush over to wherever these guys are. And I love the fact that she doesn't seem to question the fact that, maybe this tooth came from, a fossil, or maybe it came from like a plaster mold or something. Like, she just immediately assumes, oh, it's coming from a live Megalodon. I mean, she's right, But at this point in the film, how could she know that? But along with these two, you also have the best character in the movie. You have Chuck Rampar is the character's name. This guy, he knows how to pilot a submarine. He's great with weapons, and he knows how to hack computers. And on top of all that, the dude has some of the best line delivery throughout the whole movie. Some unintentionally hilarious, but other times, the dude's giving it his all. That dude was chewing scenery like it was his dinner.
When you gonna let me pilot her solo?
You gotta pass my test on submersibles first.
Oh, come on. Don't you think I'm a little too old for a driver's test?
Maybe. But a Jeep doesn't implode when you drive it wrong.
This and more just made me keep going, man, I want to see a movie based on this guy's adventures. I want to see this guy's, like, life in the military before he became this, like, master badass or whatever. It's like, this dude's life is so much more interesting than the rest of the movie. I just kept sitting there going, man, is it bad I kind of want to spin off with this character? This guy rules. But before our three main characters cross paths, you have to rip off the plot points of Jaws, where, of course, a bunch of bodies start going missing. There are a bunch of shark attacks that are going on. I mean, it is called Shark Attack 3 after all. But then you get the obligatory scenes of shark scares, of course. You have a couple making out in the water, and then, you know, a shark doesn't attack them, but it pops up near them, and the girl just books it for the beach, while the dude is just still standing in the water before he heads out. There's a famous role reversal of the scene in Jaws where the dog gets attacked. This time you see a guy playing catch with his dog on the beach, and then the owner goes into the water to try and get the frisbee, and then he ends up getting eaten. But the funniest of the early shark attacks we get in the movie, it's late at night at the resort, and there's a party going on, and this young couple are just so entrenched in their makeout session, they stumble onto a water slide, and as they're tumbling down, they're just still making out with each other. They could not keep their hands off of each other, but then the water slide, of course, leads into the ocean, and that's when the shark gets them. And they add some, like, eating sound effects from the shark, and it was reminding me a lot of Suburban Sasquatch, where they just put the, like, stock, like, sound effects in there. But on top of all that, the way the scene ends, after those two are getting eaten, you then cut to some guy who I guess is supposed to be from the party, like, who just happens to witness all of this. This character never shows up ever again in the film, and it's just a guy wearing a clown mask, and then slowly lifts it up and just goes, and then it just cuts, it like crossfades to sunrise the next morning. And that's one of the many confusing edits we're going to get all throughout this fucking thing, by the way. So here's where our characters have to step into action. Kat decides to go out on the beach with these two guys who, I mean, they're super attracted to her, and man, these guys felt like they were out of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers or like a bad PSA or something. It's like the casting director were like, shit, we need guys that act like douches. And then these two guys just wandered in, they're just like, don't worry, we got this. Because, you know, they're talking about like, oh yeah, dude, we're going to help this girl. And, you know, hopefully she's very appreciative of what we do for her. I mean, look at that. You know, you're the ass man of the two of us. You know, you'd never say no to an ass like that.
Davis, you like anything with a parrot man.
That's true.
It is.
But you're the ass man, remember? And you'd do anything for that ass.
You're right, man.
Come on.
So Kat and these two guys go out on the ocean. They make it very apparent that they're trying to get lucky. But she doesn't really seem to mind or care. She's more preoccupied on the shark. So they decide to lure out the shark by pouring chum into the ocean, which was very clearly like grape drank or whatever. It looked like grape juice or like cran raspberry or something. It's like, that's clearly not chum. And that's coming from someone who doesn't have that much fishing experience. I'm like, that is not chum. That's fucking grape Kool-Aid is what that is.
Guess what, boys? You start chumming.
Oh, man. This really stinks.
They have one guy stand on this little ledge that's like 2 feet away from the shark to try and get some footage so that way they can tag the shark and prove that it's real.
Hey, look out!
Surprisingly, it doesn't end with the guy getting eaten. They get the guy back on deck before anything can happen. They're like, great, fantastic, we have footage. Because a little bit earlier, after the couple get out safely, you have John Barrowman and Jimmy. They bring in the shark that they found at the scene, but of course, it's not the right shark. They even rip off that cliche from Jaws where it's not the right shark.
It's just a sand tiger shark. Pretty ugly, but harmless unless you're a fish about that big.
I heard it scared that girl so bad she ran all the way up to the street buck naked.
Eventually, all 3 of our main characters start to come together when more people start dying. There's a scene where you have 2 guys and this girl who's parasailing, and they're out in very far off waters, not too far off where they are, but they're a little further out, so some shit's gonna go down. And what happens is the shark, I guess, rattles the boat, so one guy gets knocked unconscious, another guy falls into the water and gets eaten, and then the Megalodon bites the cable that the girl is connected to and starts taking her out even further into the ocean.
Oh, no! The shark's dragging her out to sea!
But what's so confusing about that is they take a lot of time to stop and help the guy who's knocked out, which, yes, okay, yeah, the guy needed medical attention, but, there's a girl who's being dragged out to sea. Maybe one of you stay and take care of this guy, and then the other 2 go to rescue this girl.
Wait, pull over! This guy needs medical attention!
The girl gets dragged into the ocean, but they make it in the nick of time, and before they can help this girl get on their boat, she ends up getting, taken down by the shark. So, oh no. And we get one of many great performances from John Barrowman, who's overacting like crazy. This movie, he overacts and acts as silly as Tom Cruise did back in 2006, man. There are just so many great scenes where he's just mugging and he has line deliveries like, shit! It's still not enough to beat good old Chuck Rampar. Because there's a scene where, of course, you have to have the corrupt elites that don't want the beaches shut down. In Jaws, it was the mayor. In this case, it's the CEO guy of the resort. And Chuck Rampar just bursts into the guy's office, and he just fucking goes off on the guy.
You knew, and you didn't warn them?
Calm down, Chuck. I don't know what you're talking about.
Bullshit! It's all right here.
And even when the guy's being taken away by the security, he still just doesn't give a fuck.
They knew it was risky. There were things that weren't accounted for out there.
Bull fucking shit!
Oh my god, this movie is awesome. And speaking of the CEO, he is starting to set up the big climax for the movie, because there has to be some kind of big event that is going to get attacked by the shark. In this case, he is having a big gathering of fellow rich people from this telecommunications company that set up the fiber optic thing in the first place. Instead of these guys taking all of what they have to the media, the shark tooth, the video footage, they were eventually rescued by a helicopter.
Come on!
And the people in the helicopter presumably saw the shark as well. So, instead of just going to the media, of course, it's movie rules, so our 3 main heroes have to try and stop the shark themselves. They head out to the waters. This is when the movie starts to feel a little repetitive. I mean, there's some really funny bad stuff in this movie, but when it starts to feel a little bit repetitive, it's okay, this stuff's kind of boring. All right, we've kind of seen this already. This is when the movie kind of just slow a little bit to a crawl, but it immediately picks up steam in just a little bit. Once again, the shark bumps their boat that they're on. Somebody gets knocked out. I think it's one of the camera guy douches from earlier. And John Barrowman tries to help the guy wake back up. Eventually, the ship starts going down because, lo and behold, once again, ripping off Jaws, there's a scene where Cat Stone goes down to try and get her shotgun to try and take the shark out, which is weird because there's a scene earlier, in one of the previous times they tried going after the shark, and it seemed like shit was getting really bad. John Barrowman shoots a handgun.
headed in my sight!
But I don't know. I guess at this point she's like, fuck it. Last resort. Let's get the shotgun. And that's the other thing. I know they do this in a lot of shark movies because, people are dying left and right. We got to do what we got to do. We got to stop the shark. But it's also one of those things that's like, dude, that's a Megalodon. That's a prehistoric fucking shark right there. Like, you're not even going to try and capture it. You're just going to jump straight forward to killing it. It's like, that's a giant find for science. But okay, yeah, all right. Whatever. It's a Jaws ripoff. Whatever. Fuck it. Kill the shark. I get you. But she goes down to the hull of the ship to try and grab a shotgun. And the shark, just like Jaws, smashes into the side of the wall of the ship, which starts to make the ship go down into the water. And then John Barrowman rushes down there and grabs a blunt object and just starts swinging and trying to beat the shark's face in. And all the while he's just screaming, "Die! Die! Die!" Die! They eventually take the thing out. It's supposed to be like blood splatter on the wall, but it just looked like strawberry jam. Like, it clearly isn't blood. I mean, even for fake blood in movie standards, that was very clearly not blood. It looked like the jam that they used in Spaceballs. But, okay, the shark's dead, or at least we think it is. And then it was at that point I realized, well, shit, the movie still has like half an hour left. So, is this that bait and switch shit where it turns out this, once again, isn't the real shark? Because they eventually say something about how this shark is like 15 feet long. But if you know anything about the Megalodon, it goes up to like 75 feet. It's like a bus with teeth. So, of course, that shark is still out there. And we get one of the many times they reuse the same footage where they insert people going into the shark's mouth. And they see John Barrowman's buddy, Jimmy, coming in like a little like rescue boat. And it's like, oh yeah, Jimmy, we're saved. And then the shark comes out of the water and eats his boat while he's screaming for help. And then they use the exact same footage where they show, Tweedledip and Tweedleshit, the camera guys, end up in the water, and they get eaten too.
What's going on? Come here.
Of course, the two main characters make it back to shore safely, and they're discussing plans with Chuck Rampar, and once again, the CEO guy's not going to budge, so they discuss a battle plan. The plan ultimately comes down to they need to tag the shark so they know where it is, and they need to blow it up. Like, that's their big game plan. And how do they plan to do that? Well, get this. Chuck Rampar held on to a torpedo from when he left the military.
The Mark 44 torpedo.
Where did you get that thing?
The last sub I was on was decommissioned. A lot of hardware laying around. I thought better here than rusting in a scrap heap.
You're also probably wondering, how are they going to tag the shark? It's big enough, but how can they possibly tag it? Well, in a throwaway line, they have mentioned that Kat knows how to use a crossbow, and they have her demonstrate.
It'll send out a signal powerful enough for the torpedo to lock onto.
But that means somebody's got to get close to the shark.
Not necessarily.
Well, where'd you learn to use a crossbow anyway?
Well, I did a little deer hunting in my day.
While it is kind of funny, it's another example of the movie's many foibles in that it does break the constant rule of show, don't tell. There's a lot of just like, how's this going to happen? Oh, well, let me just quickly explain here. Oh, okay, this character can do that. Great. But then comes the very infamous line that everybody brings up when it comes to this movie. Because, they got their game plan ready, they're settling down for the night, they all head off home, before tomorrow where they have to put their plan into action. So Chuck Rampar leaves the two, and they're just talking back and forth, and they're gonna go to Bone Town, bro.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, me too, but, I'm really wired. What do you say I take you home and eat your pussy?
Now, after doing a little bit of digging, I found out something even better. It turns out that was not only an ad-lib, but he was surprised as all hell that they left it in the movie. Because apparently the director told him, hey, say whatever you want, get a genuine reaction from her. And then he says that, there's a bit of an awkward pause, and then the next thing, it just cuts to them boning. Goes without saying, best line in the movie. Second only to Chuck Rampar saying, "Bull fucking shit."
Bull fucking shit!
God, this movie is great. So come the next day, our heroes are getting into Chuck Rampar's submarine. They're launching the torpedo. They take out the telecommunication device that's making the shark go all loopy, like they said. Cat ends up missing with the crossbow, so they don't really tag it, and it starts to come after their submarine. But on top of that, you also have the party that the CEO and all the telecommunication business people are doing on their boat at the resort, and they're eventually going out onto the ocean. You know, all of those rich bastards are going to get attacked by the shark, and this is definitely one of the best scenes in the movie. I mean, I love it. Everything about this scene is hilarious, right? They say that they're prepared to take out the shark themselves because they're aware that sharks are killing people. They just don't care enough to close the waters because that'll be bad for business, apparently. But they say they're ready to deal with the sharks because CEO's buddy just shows off a bunch of hand grenades that he's going to use.
Don't worry. A friend of mine here has brought us a little insurance. Just in case that shark shows up.
But when the ship goes down, quite literally, they just start chucking hand grenades quite casually into the water.
Toss another one!
Completely unfazed by the fact that there's no shark there for them to blow up. But as the ship starts going down, these dumbasses think, hey, a shark just knocked our ship into the water. Here's a smart idea. Let's jump into the water where the shark could easily get us. Fucking what? But then there's just this amazing montage of deaths, one after the other. You have like ladies jumping off the ship screaming as they fall 10 feet into the water. You have a life raft with 6 people getting swallowed whole by the shark with the, again, reused footage from earlier. The CEO's buddy takes a life vest from his date or some lady I think he was with. I think that was her. But he takes her life vest, goes, jumps into the water, and lands square into the shark's mouth. And the best one, there's the CEO who tries to get away on a jet ski. He's tearing out of there. Again, looks back, does a maniacal laugh because he's a bad guy. Turns around, whoa, and goes square into the shark's mouth. So after this little massacre, one thing leads to another. You know our heroes are going to make it out okay. I was a little bit worried they were going to kill Chuck Rampar because he's the token older character. You know, you have to have somebody sacrifice themselves, but thankfully he doesn't. I was really happy about that. One thing leads to another. They successfully blow up the shark, and admittedly we end on kind of a weak one-liner.
Megalo who?
Megalo who? That's a weak one to end on. I mean, it's no bull fucking shit or how about I take you home and eat your pussy? It's nowhere as good as those. So all the same, Shark Attack 3 Megalodon, I was expecting to really hate this movie considering a bunch of other crappy shark movies I've sat through. That being said, this is easily one of the best so bad it's good shark movies I've ever seen. I was so entertained watching this movie. This movie is so dumb and so bad, but it still has so many great line deliveries and crappy shark effects that keep the movie entertaining. There are the occasional dry spells where it kind of delves into like, okay, this is a bit repetitive. Yeah, we've kind of done this before. This is a little samey. But man, the stuff that's really good is really good. So if you want to have a fun, bad movie night, Shark Attack 3 Megalodon is fucking perfect. Go for it, man. This is the kind of earnest, bad movie that I would want to sit through. I've said that many a times. Jurassic Shark or Land Sharks, like those are like asylum grade movies. And it's like, they know they're making bad movies, but they're not as fun. Versus something like this where it's like, oh yeah. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew what they were making. It's cheesy as hell. Everybody's overacting and going ham. And I fucking love it. This movie rules, dude. Certainly a better alternative compared to that massive piece of shit, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. So we got one more video for the month. Next time, I'm gonna have to find something else to talk about because this was originally gonna be what I was gonna talk about last for June, but yeah, I need to find another movie. Maybe do an anime review, possibly. I'll think of something to talk about. I have quite the list of potential movies and shows to talk about, so yeah, I'll figure that out in time. But until then, I'm Adam Sykes of the Blockbuster Show, and we will see you guys in the next video.
What do you say I take you home and eat your pussy?
It was a joke to make her laugh. They left it in the frickin' movie. And I'm sitting with, it's a movie that I could let my nieces and nephew watch, and then all of a sudden Uncle John's going, what do you say I take you home and eat? Turn it off!